Beginning by settling our bodies into our comfortable meditation posture. Making sure our back is straight, our spine. You can imagine a string running up through your spine and going up through the crown of your head, pulling you up, naturally straightening up your spine, naturally tilting your neck a little bit downwards. Naturally, your shoulders relax, the muscles around your back relax. So it's a posture that is soft and relaxed, yet very stable and confident. You can sit on the edge of your cushion also to make sure your back is even straighter and your knees are maybe falling a little bit below the hips to maintain that balance, that posture of stability. Your hands can be in your lap, right palm inside the left palm, thumbs touching in a teardrop shape, or resting on your knees. Our neck is not too far down that we become groggy and sleepy, but also not too far up that it causes excitation and overconfidence. So just right in the middle somewhere. Elongating the neck also. Relaxing also the muscles in our face that hold so much tension between the eyebrows, the cheekbones, the jaw, your eyes. You can even put a little smile on your face and allow all that tension to release. Feel your mind also relax while you do that. And once you feel stable and relaxed in your posture, you can generate your motivation for joining this session today, for sitting in meditation here. Contemplate why you are here. What is the purpose that brought you here, the motivation? What are the benefits you imagine from this kind of practice and this kind of study? How can it benefit you and even people around you, people you interact with on a daily basis? Really think about these things and allow that motivation to come up, that desire to sit and practice and study. Just the desire itself can be carried with us into future lifetimes, can propel us to meet the Dharma again by generating a strong motivation in this lifetime. And especially contemplating the other sentient beings, other animals, other people whom we can benefit also by studying Dharma and practicing. Practicing on behalf of all beings who maybe can't practice, who aren't connected to the Dharma in this lifetime. practicing on their behalf also, because as we practice and walk this path towards being bodhisattvas, we do it with the motivation to benefit all beings, not just for our own liberation, but to be able to spontaneously arise and manifest to benefit all beings in all of the six realms. Take a moment and generate this motivation for yourself. And now we shift to our calm abiding practice to stabilize our minds before we dive into this very, very profound text with Kabirji. So you can watch your breath. You can have that as your object of meditation, of calm abiding. If you have a different object like the mind or awareness, you can use that also. But otherwise, just rest your attention on your breath. And you can watch it either at your abdomen as it rises and falls, or at the sensations at the very tip of your nose as the breath flows in and out. The abdomen is a little more of a grounding point, and the nose is a little more of a subtle object. Resting our attention on our object, almost like a bird floating in the wind, without engaging, without making any effort, just relaxing our attention onto the breath, onto our object. As your mind gets distracted, pulled away from the object by various thoughts or memories, emotions, just return very gently back to the breath and let whatever that thing was just dissolve away on its own. No need to make any effort to drive it out. It's just an object of the mind that arose and let it fall away on its own. The very nature of single pointedness, of shamatha, is allowing everything else to fall away by the nature of holding our attention in one place. So this should be effortless. You can even label each mental activity that comes into your mind as thought, emotion, memory, and this may help in it having less power over your mind. Simply label and let it move on. If you feel your mind tightening around something, around some thought or mental activity, as you relax your mind back to the breath, also relax your body as well. Those muscles probably tensed up with the thought. Each time you return back to the breath, relax the mind and body. Back to the object again and again. So as you slowly return to space around you, see if you can maintain that thread of stability, of calm abiding, as we transition to studying the text with Kabirji. The stability is what helps us go deeper into our analytical study, into our insight practice. We can dive a little bit deeper into our contemplation. So give us a few moments for Kabirji to come, and in the meantime, we have a few texts in the center people may need to share. So I'll hand those out. And do people on Zoom, does anybody want me to share the link to the PDF? Let me allow you to. If anybody wants me to share the PDF link, let me know in the chat. Kabirji will join us soon. Thanks so much, Fatima. Great, perfect. So the link is in the chat. Okay, give us a few moments to transition here at Tushita.
Samosa.
3 samosa, 3 kachori.
Okay, well,
Samosas are hot, kachoris are cold.
okay. So, welcome everybody again. Hope you had a little break. You pacified by the meditation. Excuse my unshaven appearance. It's been one of those hectic last days in Bodh Gaya. Thanks to miracles of jet travel, it's amazing how quickly one can be in a different environment. It's extraordinary. I'll just wait for the excitement to subside here at Tushita. We have 5 people here and 12 people online, so thank you. Not as many as Lady Gaga gets, but it's okay. Okay.
And both online and offline together.
So I called you up and you keep running out.
No, I was in the car when you called me.
Okay, you were in the...
So one day we won't know where we are. online or offline, in between somewhere. That's the artificial intelligence will take over when we're confused enough, since they will be thinking clearly, all the new machines, we will be subjugated. I hope you're enjoying whatever you're eating, Menotiji. It looks very delicious. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Having my chai, Kabirji.
Your dinner time.
My dinner time.
Kya kare? It's a hard life. Yeah, I hope. What did you do with them, Shamata?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're all pacified, and you've watched your thoughts coming and going and dissolved them into space or whatever. Rahulji, pranam. You're looking very serious. I hope you're okay, and you're no cause for concern. Your end too much, I hope. Is that a map of India on your wall? Yeah, that side. Good. It's good to have maps on the wall. Okay, so thank you very much. No need for motivation and meditation. You've done that. There's already a question, it looks like. Maybe it's for Nivita. Oh boy. We'll look at this later, but...
So it's Fatima, not Fatima.
Yeah, Fatima. I'm trying to eat a sattvic diet these days, but samosas are my weakness, says Yogesh Soni. Yeah, I can understand your feeling. I have the same problem with Bihari mithai, which I brought back 3 kilos from Bihar. I am sharing it with some people. From Fatima, in Hinduism, enlightenment can be reached by opening all 7 chakras, even though there's 114 chakras in the human body. Out of those, two are outside the physical body. Okay. My question is how one reaches enlightenment via Buddhism. Buddhism can be followed via 2 ways. Is that right? Okay. Either religion or philosophy, but one can follow both. Acha, theek hai, that's your opinion. Theek hai. Of course, people who are very serious about this, they study often for 15, 20 years, then they do meditation, following their guru's instructions. They have a guru usually. People who attain enlightenment in the Buddhist tradition, it's almost absolutely necessary at some point to have a guru. Reason being that if one doesn't, one can easily go wrong. One can have all kinds of strange ideas and it gets very, very, what shall I say? It's like if you're following a very difficult path in a forest or up a mountain, you do need a local guide. Otherwise, you can fall off the mountain or get bitten by snakes or get caught up in the thorn bushes or whatever. So what I'm trying to say is that there are many, many practices to be engaged in. And for that, one needs a qualified guru. Of course, they have to be qualified. They can't be just anybody who thinks they know what it's about just through reading or, like that. There has to be someone who has actually done it. Like, who would want to be guided to the top of Everest by someone who'd never done it, I'll say, aapko le jaunga. Main to kabhi nahi gaya, lekin aapko le jaunga. That's ridiculous. So you need someone who's qualified. So I can't tell you now what the way to enlightenment is in Buddhism because it's would take maybe 15 or 20 years and I'm not qualified. But the point is one has to develop, it's not about chakras so much at our level. It's about developing sincere understanding, proper understanding of the sickness that is plaguing us. Like a patient who really wants to get well, just a sec, a patient who really wants to get well has to go to a qualified doctor and listen to their advice properly if they trust the doctor. If they don't trust the doctor, then of course, no problem. One can contradict the doctor all the time. But if it's a good doctor and you're willing to follow them, then you have to find out what that doctor says is your sickness and what the cause is. And if they're a really good doctor, then they also know the cure. And then if you are a sincere patient, then you have to take the medicine in the way that the doctor tells you. And if you don't, then that's your problem, So that's just a kind of general answer. To get a little bit more specific, in Buddhism, we have to not just be intelligent and wise, but we have to be very compassionate to an extraordinary degree. And people who can open their chakras, that's almost like a technical thing. You're not necessarily compassionate. So you become a kind of a technician, an inner technologist, and people think that's a big deal. And in one way it is, and in another way it isn't. Because without compassion, nothing happens very much, according to Lord Buddha. And you certainly can't attain what Buddhists call enlightenment. You can attain some powers, you can attain power over other people, you can attain maybe the power to read other people's minds and fly in the air, but these things are not considered that amazing in Buddhism, because birds can fly in the air, and many people can, and airplanes too, you know. But what is really amazing is to have genuine compassion and to help people, even those people who are harming you. That is the extraordinary level of mind.
Basically doing good deeds, right?
Yeah, extraordinary good deeds, Fatima ji, extraordinary
Okay.
good deeds. Not ordinary good
But
deeds,
sir,
which anyone would do.
sorry to interrupt you in between, but Gautam Buddha reached enlightenment without
Yes.
any kind of teacher or guru,
No,
right?
no, he had gurus, and he had hidden gurus, we would say. Okay, just to tell you something, according to Mahayana Buddhism, which is what we follow, Prince Siddhartha was already enlightened before he was born. So he came into the world to show a certain way of life and to benefit others. But he was already enlightened, which explains a lot of things, why he was able to go into spontaneous meditation even as a young child, why he had so much compassion even as a young child, and many things. Anyway, so he had already had maybe thousands of gurus in his previous lifetimes and had done billions of good deeds and had attained all of the meritorious energy he needed to get enlightened by the time he was born, 2,500 years ago. So that's one way to look at it. The other way is that even if he wasn't enlightened when he was born, you don't have to have gurus that everybody can see. Because from the Mahayana perspective, there are three levels of Buddha. One is his wisdom mind, Dharmakaya, which only other Buddhas can see. Second level is Sambhogakaya. We're talking from the top level down. Second level is called Sambhogakaya, enjoyment body. That can only be contacted by very high level Bodhisattva beings, Bodhisattvas. Not yet Buddha, but very high beings. So Siddhartha was already a great Bodhisattva, you could say. So he could contact the Sambhogakaya level, where they give continuous teachings. That level of Buddha or Guru is giving continuous teachings 24/7, which you can contact. It's like having a very, very amazing radio, which picks up many channels that an ordinary radio can't pick up, that kind of thing. So that's definitely he had gurus. Whether you take him as already enlightened or not yet enlightened when he was born, he had gurus. Otherwise, no way one can attain awakening. But of course, the deeper meaning, which is very important, Fatima ji, is that the guru, actually the real guru is what we call absolute guru, which is the purity of one's own mind, the Buddha nature which all of us has. So the outer guru helps us to activate our inner guru, inner absolute guru, the Buddha nature. The clear light mind. It's given many terms in Buddhism, ground luminosity, and of course these are just English translations. So that's the real meaning of the guru. So the flesh and blood guru is somebody who helps us destroy our ego so that we can reveal the inner Buddha nature, which is at the moment covered up by all of our garbage mind, our ego with all of its arrogance and ignorance and all of that, cravings and anger and all of that. Yeah, so anyway, that's a short answer to your question. Thanks very much. We won't pursue it right now, but I wouldn't get too hung up on chakras and all, because the problem there is if you don't have a proper guru, you see, it's like you can easily also disturb your subtle nervous system. That's a very big danger. that if one doesn't know how to work with these inner energies properly, you can really create big problems, inner blockages, and people can go crazy even because they don't know the power of these inner energy. And you need a very, very, very good guide who has already done those practices, the inner yogas, you see. Otherwise, you can really disturb your nervous system, and sometimes it cannot be totally healed within that lifetime. So please don't get too hooked on chakras, let alone 114 chakras or whatever. I would just focus on the basic things. Have you read any Buddhism?
No, sir. Recently, I started reading
Good.
about
So
Buddhism.
you read more. Are you in Delhi?
Yeah, I'm in Delhi,
So
and
sometimes
I'm
when you
trying
can,
to.
come to
Sorry?
Tushita. We have a good library, and you sit with other
And
people, meditate.
yeah, sir. How to know that I have found the right guru? I'm looking for a guide
वो
because
सब
I
बताएंगे.
need.
आपको यहाँ आना पड़ेगा.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
यहाँ आना पड़ेगा. कहाँ रहते हैं आप?
सर मैं अभी ईस्ट दिल्ली में रहती हूँ.
कोई नहीं, मेट्रो तो बहुत
हाँ
गजब की
जी,
चीज़ है.
मुझे मालूम है. I'm born and brought up in Delhi.
So yeah, no excuse not to come sometime. Are you on our WhatsApp group?
Yeah, I joined your WhatsApp group yesterday only.
Very good. So you see, slow and steady wins the race. हाँ, जल्दीबाजी मत कीजिए.
हाँ जी, हाँ
उससे
जी.
एक्सीडेंट हो जाएगा. इसलिए
हाँ जी.
धीरे चलिए, सेंटर में आइए. और यहाँ समोसा भी मिलता है कभी कभी.
नहीं, मैं सात्विक डाइट पे रहती हूँ. मैं बचपन से प्योर वेजिटेरियन हूँ. इवन तो आई एम अ मुस्लिम,
छोड़िए अभी.
बट आई एम प्योर वेजिटेरियन सिंस बर्थ.
लोगों का समोसा बहुत गजब का समोसा है. आपके चक्रे सारे 114 खुल जाएंगे एक दिन में.
नहीं सर, एक्चुअली
That's
the
the quick
thing is that I'm going through something and I need to like heal myself. I'm trying to heal myself. I've been through a lot of things.
yeah. I can understand.
So first I understood the reason of the suffering. So
ठीक है. यहाँ आइए तो बहुत से लोग हैं, यहाँ अच्छे लोग हैं, कोई बुरे लोग
हाँ
नहीं.
जी, हाँ जी, वाइब से पता चल रहा है मुझे.
ठीक है. तो अब थोड़ा सा आगे बढ़ते हैं, फिर बाद में anyway, thank you so much. Very good, very good.
Thank you so much, sir. To you as well.
Thank you. Okay, so now chapter 5 of Shantideva, a very important chapter, guarding alertness. किसी के पास दूसरा translation है? What do they call it there? Chapter 5, what's the heading?
Vigilant introspection.
Vigilant introspection.
Vigilant introspection. That sounded like Pradeep ji. Okay, thank you. So vigilant introspection. There's mindfulness and there's introspection. And from what I've read, the difference is that mindfulness is to keep the mind on an object, to remember the object one is supposed to be meditating on, for example, the breath. And introspection has a very specific function. Introspection is that aspect of mind which watches and checks two things, whether one of two things has arisen. One could be that the mind has become excited through various thoughts or images. The mind becomes distracted and excited, usually by attachment, but it could also be through anger, and it becomes kind of, restless and keeps on thinking about certain things, past or future or whatever. And then the other mental state that can arise is sluggishness, laziness. You feel sleepy, drowsy, yeah? So both of these are big hindrances, yeah? They are big factors that will destroy our peaceful meditation, right? Either excitement or sluggishness, drowsiness, torpor, sloth. These are different words are used in the English translation. So introspection is that. So we need these factors to guard our mind, to guard especially our meditation. If we're going to have proper meditation, we can't allow the mind to be jumping all over the place like a wild elephant. So actually, this is spoken about in these very, very powerful first few verses of chapter 5. So Shantideva says, he's very clear now, he makes very clear statements in these first 4 or 5 verses. Those who wish to guard their practice, matlab their Buddhist practice, their meditation practice, should very attentively guard their minds. It doesn't mean don't guard your children, your wife, your husband, your mother-in-law. guard your mind. Yeah, you can't guard outside things so much. You can guard your mind. For those who do not guard their minds, will be unable to guard their practice. He's just making it very clear. He's saying the same thing, but in a slightly different way. Those who wish to guard their practice should very attentively guard their minds. For those who do not guard their minds, will be unable to guard their practice. Yeah, samajh gaye na? In this world, now he makes it more clear. In this world, matlab, ye sadharan dunya mein, in the ordinary world, in sansara, in sansar, unsubdued and crazy elephants are incapable of causing such harms as the miseries of the deepest hell, which can be caused by the unleashed elephant of my mind. Samajh rahe na? He's saying that even a crazy elephant cannot cause you so much damage as an unguarded mind, which is much worse than a crazy elephant. He's saying the unleashed elephant of my mind, matlab, my mind behaves like a crazy elephant sometimes, but even worse than that. And an ordinary elephant can only kill you, right? An ordinary elephant could only kill you this life, but the unguarded crazy elephant of the mind can harm us so much that it will create harm for many, 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 many lifetimes, including throwing us into hell, hellish experience. Because if we, for example, kill regularly, that will throw us into hell, ordinary killing, matlab killing with a deluded state of mind, not some kind of enlightened killing, which of course is very difficult and only in special circumstances. But our ordinary non-virtuous action of killing, that is going to lead us to hell. And our mind is capable of this. We know this, not just from the movies, but from what we see in the news and maybe what we can see in our own mind sometimes. Sometimes we want to kill someone, right? Have you ever had that feeling? I haven't, I think, but sometimes I want to shake someone by the neck, not kill them, but, one wants to inflict violence. So then it's just one step away from killing someone. If you're very strong, then of course you can kill someone without meaning to kill them. That can also happen, right? So we have to be very careful by this unleashed elephant of the mind. However, and this next verse we have up on our halfway down our steps to our meditation hall here at Tushita, because it's such an important verse. It says, however, if the elephant of my mind is firmly bound on all sides by the rope of mindfulness, then all fears will cease to exist and all virtue will come into my hand. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that promising? That यदि मैं अपने मन को सुरक्षित रखता हूँ और बांध के रखता हूँ स्मृति के साथ, mindfulness के साथ, सतर्कता के साथ, तो फिर सारे हमारे भय जो है ना वो खत्म हो जाएंगे. सब जिन चीजों से मैं डरता हूँ और खास करके क्लेश के नतीजे से जो मैं डरता हूँ वो सब खत्म हो जाएंगे. और सारे जो पुण्य जो है ना, कुशल कर्म और पुण्य सब हमारे हाथ में आ जाएगा, है ना? All virtues will come into my hand. Then engaging in positive action will become very simple, very easy, because there will be no fear and insecurity, because fear and insecurity make us behave in very strange ways. That will not be there if I'm guarding my mind. Okay, so this is one of the most important verses of this text, I think, because it's basic, essential practice, right? If the elephant of my mind is firmly bound on all sides by the rope of mindfulness, then all fears will cease to exist and all virtues will come into my hand. Tigers, of course, nowadays we could give different examples in the next verse, but Shantideva was living 1200 years ago, right? So he's saying tigers, lions, elephants, bears, snakes, all forms of enemies, guardians of the hell worlds, evil spirits, cannibals, will all be bound by binding my mind alone. All will be subdued by subduing my mind alone. This is amazing, amazing teaching, amazing. You're understanding what he's saying, yeah. All these wild animals,
Sir, I didn't get this one, like including the evil spirits.
right? All of these things are dangerous things, terrorists, crazy people going around with guns, or, you know, anyone who is causing us harm, animals, snakes, mosquitoes, all of it, COVID, none of it, all of it will be, is controllable by controlling our minds. If we control our minds, everything can be controlled. Everything will be subdued if I learn how to subdue my mind. If my mind is out of control, then my life is out of control. And so why is the world out of control? Very simple, because people's minds are out of control, right? Anger, hatred, greed. We can see the result so clearly. The result of not binding our mind properly with mindfulness and awareness. We see the results so clearly, so clearly. The result of greed, we see, the result of anger. And of course, they're linked. They're linked. Because of the greed of arms manufacturers and, you know, the whole idea of money and profits, we have weapons which can then help people to exercise their anger and insecurity and harm others more easily. Yeah, all these are terrible weapons that are being used in the world. And the worst ones have not been used, but people are threatening to use them. But it all comes back to the mind, actually, to the mind. So what are tigers and lions and leopards and cheetahs compared to nuclear weapons and all this? And what are they compared to the mind of anger and greed? So it's the mind we have to subdue. So we have to subdue it with what? With attentiveness, with mindfulness. The rope of mindfulness. Yeah. The perfect teacher himself, Matlab Lord Buddha, has shown that in this way, all our fears, as well as all the boundless sufferings, originate from the mind. From the mind, not from outside. This we have to keep on remembering, because still we act as though our main problems are coming from outside, but they're not. They originate in the mind. चित्त जो है वो सारे समस्याओं सारे अच्छाई का स्रोत है, वो मन है. Who, then he asks the question, who intentionally created all the weapons for those in hell? Who created the burning iron ground? And this next line, I'm sorry ladies, but Shantideva was a monk, and he's speaking to monks. That's why the next line is there. From where did all the women in hell come from? I'm sure there are men in hell too. And if you're speaking to nuns, you have to say, where do all the men in hell come from? No, it's not just women. Haji? Yeah?
This translation it says, whence have all the demon women sprung?
Demon women, yeah, you know, this, demon women. The Mighty One has said that all such things are the workings of a negative mind. Isn't that interesting? So there's no really existing external demon man, demon woman. It's all the result, the reflection of a negative mind. Hence, within the three world spheres, that means the desire realm we're in, and the form and the formless realms, these are other levels of this universe. The universe can be divided in different ways. This is one way. Desire realm, formless realm. So in this three world spheres, there is nothing to fear other than my mind. Or you could say, nothing to be happy about. It depends how we're using our mind. Okay? I'll just check the note here in this translation, what he's given as note number 12. He's just quoting which sutra it's from, which I cannot pronounce. It's very difficult. Sadharma Smritya Upasthana Sutra. Okay, so the Smritya, okay. Upasthana, I think, is anyway some kind of exposition of mindfulness of the true dharma or something. Sadharma Smritya Upasthana Sutra is quoted. Among enemies, the mind is the greatest enemy. There is no enemy other than it. But here we're talking of the unsubdued mind, okay? Also, there's no greater friend than the subdued mind. Remember that. There's no greater friend than the subdued mind. And of course, the greatest friend is the Buddha nature, which is also mind. It's not other than mind. It's nothing external. So, who created the weapons of hell? It's like if you have a nightmare, okay, in which horrible things happen to you, and all kinds of demon men, women, and other spirits appear to you. Where's that coming from? It comes from your mind. Why are you having such dreams? Well, it's not the result of positive karma. Couldn't be. So it's some kind of negativity in the mind somehow is emerging. And if you have a hellish experience in waking life, you know, where is that coming from? It's basically coming from, again, the mind, ripening of karma. Or if you've been trying to kill people and then, you know, the friends of that person are now chasing you and throwing stones at you and maybe stoning you to death or whatever, then where is that coming from? That's also originally coming from your negative mind, trying to harm others. So, of course, there are external sticks and stones and bullets which hit us, but in one way it is indirectly the cause is one's own mind, one's own negative mind. According to Buddhism, you cannot experience such a result as a result of good action, good karma. And you certainly can't experience this. There'd be nothing to experience if there's no mind. So it's all due to the mind. If the perfection of generosity were to be the alleviation of the world's poverty, then since beings are still starving now, in what manner did the previous Buddhas perfect it? Okay, he's now saying, now he's going quite deep. He's saying, we say that the Buddhas have perfected generosity. So if they have, how come there are still poor people in the world? How come Buddha hasn't made everybody rich? You know, how come? Well, think about it. The perfection of generosity is said to be the thought to give all beings everything, together with the fruit of such a thought. Hence, it is simply a state of mind. You see, if the qualification for being generous were to be that, you know, for you to be a generous person, everybody in Horse Castle, Delhi should be happy and, you know, very, you know, rich. Otherwise, I can't call you a generous person. That's ridiculous. Generosity is your intention. You may give one tiny thing to someone, or you may not have anything to give someone, but you wish to give, you aspire to give, and you give what you can. Maybe a smile, maybe whatever, but you give something. You give time to somebody who needs your time. You don't have to give physical objects all the time, right? And give someone loving kindness. So he's saying, the point is generosity, patience, these are states of mind. If patience meant that, you know, everyone you're patient with this should then begin to start behaving well because of your patience, well, no, it's not going to happen. But you yourself are patient. You accept things and don't retaliate. You accept suffering, you know, all of that. That is patience. It is a mental quality. It is not the effect you have on others, because ultimately we cannot control others, what they experience. Otherwise, as he said, Buddha would have made everybody patient and rich and everything would be fine. But the sun may shine, but it's up to us, isn't it, to go out in the sun and get the vitamin D, whatever. If we don't do that, what can the sun do? So Shantideva seems to be saying so far that mind, it's mind, and it's the guarding of the mind that we have to take care of, right? I'll stop soon, then we can discuss. So the perfection of generosity is said to be the thought, the intention, to give all beings everything, together with the results of such a thought. Hence, it is simply a state of mind. Nowhere has the killing of fish and other creatures been eradicated. For the attainment of merely the thought to forsake such things is explained as the perfection of moral discipline. Yeah. So what is moral discipline? It's the intention, it's the thought. But it's not as though we're able to stop other people killing, you know. Unruly beings, we'll do 2 more verses because it includes one of the most famous verses in this text. Unruly beings are as unlimited as space. Yeah, would you agree? Even people you know, sometimes you have experiences with your family or friends or whatever, the boss, that, you know, how many unruly people do I have to deal with? You know, they're just falling like rain sometimes. It feels like one person you deal with, then somebody else comes up and gives you a problem, right? एक बहन का शादी हो गया, अब दूसरे बहन का शादी कराना है और हाय हाय मच रहा है और बहुत कुछ हो रहा है और आप पागल हो जा रहे हैं. You know, it's just one example from India, and every country has their own brand of examples. So unruly beings, whoever they are, whether they're tigers or machar or mother-in-law, father-in-law, whoever, are unruly as space, isn't it? They are sometimes. I mean, that's our experience of them. So they can't possibly all be overcome. You know, you try it. Try to overcome your unruly child, mother, father, you know, force them to behave in a way that you want. I think very difficult. Even the Buddha couldn't do it with his own father. He had to leave the palace. His father wanted him to stay there, right? And be a prince and rule the kingdom and blah, blah, blah. Even Buddha, you know, couldn't control his own father. He had to leave, which is good, of course, for us. So we cannot possibly overcome all these difficult people. However, Shantideva says, if I overcome thoughts of anger alone, this will be equivalent to overcoming all my enemies. Think about it. If you've no anger, really no anger, you've uprooted it from the root, then what is the question? Where is there the question of an enemy? You would be like a doctor then, who just sees people who behave badly as a sick person, and you would feel sorry for them because you have no more anger. And presuming you're also doing the compassion practices, you'll be like a very compassionate doctor who not only knows the person is sick, but you will really want to help them. You know, you won't just be clever, but you'll be compassionate and clever. So that would be amazing. Then this marvelous verse, where would I possibly find enough leather with which to cover the surface of the earth? Yet wearing leather just on the soles of my shoes is equivalent to covering the earth with it. You understand? कहाँ हमको इतना चमड़ा मिलेगा कि मैं पूरा विश्व को, पूरे दुनिया को उससे ढक सकता हूँ ताकि मैं आसानी से यहाँ से वहाँ चल सकूँ, कांटा ना लगे हमको. उतना चमड़ा कहाँ मिलेगा? ना कानपुर में मिलेगा, ना आगरा में मिलेगा, कहीं नहीं मिलेगा. लेकिन अगर मैं जूते पहन लूं तो हो गया काम. समझ गए ना? Likewise, it's not possible for me to restrain the external course of things. Should I restrain this mind of mine, then what would be the need to restrain everything else? Marvelous. Really, standing ovation for Shantideva here. He's put it so amazingly, so clearly, that if we deal with our own mind, it doesn't mean problems will stop in the world just because I've stopped my internal mind, you know, behaving badly. But I will then be able to cope. I will not have a, you know, problem of anger or attachment with anybody or anything. Of course, people will still behave like insane people. People still carry on cutting down the Amazon rainforest and fighting each other with weapons, but I will not have disturbing emotions going around in my mind. So there'll be one less crazy person on the planet who then has the capacity to help a few people around and have a good influence, a little bit of a good influence on other people. Does that make sense? Okay, let's have some discussion. Sorry I spoke for so long. So we've done the first 15 verses of chapter 5. Not done, we have looked at first 14 verses. Any comments on this? And welcome everyone. I haven't welcomed yet. Pradeep ji, Sujit ji, Minoti ji, Anushri, Vishad, Nitya, Rahul, Fatima, Yogesh ji, and Sheikh.
I have one question.
Who is this? Yogesh ji?
Yeah, this is Yogesh.
Please. Speak loudly, then everyone here can hear at Tushita also.
Sure. I'm joining my phone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we today discussed a little bit upon how anger can destroy, essentially, it's being excited and it can destroy your meditative practices, right? In general, anger is a big enemy for us to conquer, right?
Right.
But recently I have come across some writings, not philosophical, religious at all, but it is more to do with different kinds of emotions and feelings. So essentially a feelings, emotions researcher has written a book, and they talk about how anger is but a signal that is just pointing towards something else that is broken in your life. Maybe it could be unresolved relationship issues, or it could be something else.
Yes.
So anger is not the problem, it's more the underlying issue that is the problem, right? So if we never get, or if we are subduing or suppressing anger, is it gonna be like unhealthy, because then we are leaving behind those issues? So what is gonna signal that we have some issues?
Very good question. Very good. Excellent. Yeah. So, of course, intelligence demands that we check what the cause is. Of course, the deepest cause of anger is self-grasping ignorance, according to Lord Buddha. But that's the deepest cause. We can't immediately eradicate that. Why a lot is connected with wisdom. And those would require us to first, pacify our mind quite a bit with the initial stabilizing meditations of shamatha. But yes, what you're saying about suppressing is very important, because we're being asked not to suppress anger or to act intelligently. So what would be an intelligent way to work with anger, according to Buddhism, is first of all, in general, to understand how negative it is, how dangerous, how powerful it is in destroying positive energy. That's one thing. But I agree, that's not a solution. That's just showing us how dangerous it is and giving us some incentive to work with it intelligently. So what would be an intelligent approach, according to Buddhism, is to, in general, not take it to be some kind of long-term, serious, solid problem. It is merely a temporary eruption in the mind due to ignorance, due to habitual patterns from the past. It is not the nature, the deepest nature of who I am. So I must not identify with the anger and think of it as me, because that will make it seem more solid. So what can I do? I can begin to practice looking at anger. What does looking at anger mean? Well, let's try a kind of experiment. You can just bring to mind something that made you really angry recently, or maybe just something quite a long time in the past, but it made you very angry. We'll probably notice, if we begin to do this, that we allowed our mind to be carried away by the anger. We got caught up in the object of our anger, okay? Something not working, or a person, or a situation. We got very angry and we kept on thinking about it. This is what we were discussing a bit yesterday in the context of a question that I can't remember right now, but it's like we proliferate. Things just become more and more and more. We have a small flickering thought and it becomes anger, and then it just goes out of control. We just allow it to keep on going. We have no awareness really of what's happening. We just let it happen. So we must learn to be just watch, just observe, as it were, first of all. Observe the anger. Not act it out, but also not suppress it. Because you're right, if we suppress anger, well, some psychologists say, and some people I've read, I haven't done much psychology, but I've done some astrological psychology, some psychological astrology, you could say. And in that, one very good author said that anger, when suppressed, can lead to a lot of depression. So that makes sense, or it can lead to big, quite dangerous diseases, because anger is very powerful energy. If you suppress it, then it has a powerful effect potentially on the body. So it can lead to all kinds of chronic illnesses, or even cancer and things like that, possibly, together with other things being there probably. But so anger, of course, must not be suppressed. But then we have to also think, if I act it out, and then some people say, okay, don't act it out on a person, just beat up a cushion or a what is it called that the boxers use, a punching bag or something. Well, yes, but then we have to be careful that we don't always need some kind of punching bag or cushion, because there'll be times when there are no cushions available or punching bags. So then what are you going to do if you have a habit of acting out your anger in that way? So we have to be careful. We have to be careful about thinking, oh, I have to act out physically my anger, or it will not be good. So it's a tightrope. It's a bit of a tightrope. But, the next time anger comes in your mind, or whatever your most strong delusion is, say it's attachment or envy or pride, let's experiment with just observing it, not thinking of the object of your pride or attachment or anger, but just observing that feeling. And what does it feel like in the body when I have that emotion? And then what happens? What happens when you just calmly observe something and don't allow your mind to get carried away by it like a crazy elephant? This is something interesting which we can all do for homework, and not just homework, sort of daily work, because your question is very important. And in fact, some of the higher teachings of Buddhism are based on the fact that anger, attachment, jealousy, all of these contain tremendous energy, which would be a waste to lose, So if we stamp on it and try to suppress it, then it works internally and destroys us in some way from inside. If we act it out in the wrong way, it can be destructive. But if, like water, very powerful source of water, right, cascading down a mountain, and then modern engineering knows how to channel it to produce electricity, say, or to run a water mill in the old days, beautiful water mills. If you have a channel of water, then you can grind your corn, your wheat, right? So if we can channel energy in the right way, then of course it can be most beneficial. But to learn how to do that at that higher level, that needs a teacher, that needs teachings and a teacher. That's why we need a guru for those kind of practices. But we at our level, we can just learn to observe and not get caught up in that current of very powerful energy, which only gets fed, doesn't it, by thinking about the object and then going and gossiping about it, right? About this terrible person or that wonderful person, gossiping internally and then gossiping with other people. That just makes it worse, doesn't it? What do you think? Does that make any sense?
Yes, absolutely. By observing the anger, though, you can maybe channel the energy that is emanating. But what about the root cause? I mean, root cause not in the sense of ignorance, but something happened, your inability, or something that you want to do in your life, for example, and you are wasting away your life, and then you're angry at yourself, right? So do we observe and then introspect? Is that what we do?
It's not going to help us if we get angry at ourselves for not being able to do something we want to in our life. Say we need to change our life in some way, and we know it, and at the moment we can't do it for many reasons. Getting angry is not going to help, right? In the sense we'll get more and more frustrated. We'll take it out on other people or on ourselves, by over drinking or, some kind of self-destructive behavior. So it'll always help to look at things a bit more coolly, right? But yeah, it doesn't mean it's easy to work with the causes, the temporary causes, I agree. And as you say, the deepest cause, the self-grasping ignorance, which is the root cause, that is not easy to eradicate. But we could start to make a move on that too. And it would help, even just watching these emotions might help, don't you think? Because then you realize these things aren't as solid as they seem. They seem like big mountains, but they're not actually like that. So that is giving us some insight into wisdom, actually. So it's beginning to help us with the self-grasping ignorance. We are not grasping at it so strongly as something heavy and solid, like, which is impenetrable and cannot be changed. We see how, whoa, that anger, that attachment, yeah, it grows when I keep on thinking about it. But then when I stop thinking about it and just observe the energy or just how I feel, then what happens? It gradually calms down, or it can calm down very quickly, actually, very quickly. And you don't have to, for example, with attachment, the Theravadan monks then start thinking about decomposing bodies, or they go traditionally to cemeteries and look at decomposing bodies. And it's hard to do that nowadays. You wouldn't find many places where you could do that. But they have pictures. Some Theravadan monks have pictures of a body in stages of disintegration, 1 week after death, 2 weeks. I can tell you by the second, third week, that object doesn't look very nice, But that's a very severe kind of way of doing it. I mean, it's taught, so it's obviously effective in some way. Perhaps monks need to do that, but it's a bit of a, what shall we say, a bit of a shock treatment, right? But there are other methods, and one is to simply observe the energy and not to allow oneself to be carried away by it. But of course, that's easier said than done. We can come back to this. Meanwhile, Minotiji had her hand up for a while. Minotiji.
Kabirji, I just wanted to share something on anger. And on Fatima's question of the Guru.
Yeah.
We have this dog at home, you would have met him. And I think gurus come in all shapes. Sorry. I think gurus come in all shapes and sizes and genders and forms. And, whenever at home, I have seen that if I'm getting upset about something or the energies in the room are changing, there is some unrest. He has a little cave in the room. He has a cupboard which doesn't have a shutter, and it's in one corner of the room. And the minute he senses somebody's losing their equanimity, he goes into that cave. He just quietly goes and sits there.
Good grief.
And yes, it's like such a moral compass in a sense, because we see he's sitting there and we immediately get alert and say, okay, there's something one of us is doing which is disturbing the energies. And he just quietly goes. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't make a noise or sound. And really, I think he's really like a Kalyan Mitta and like a guru who, just brings us to the moment, gets us to be so alert and mindful at that moment that, watch your mind or what something is happening, which is, disturbing the energy of the space. So Fatima, you never know where a guru appears from and who is the guru. And they really find you, they choose you. So yeah, like Kabirji said, come to Tushita and then you will probably start sensing.
I would like to come to Tushita.
Yeah.
Seriously,
So
I need it.
So just wanted to share that, Kabirji, because it's really quite amazing to see his response.
Thank you. Before I came here, while Navita was leading the meditation, I was with Pramaji, our landlady. She told me an amazing story because she has 3 dogs who were barking. So we're talking about dogs and their extrasensory perception. She told the story of someone from the tsunami years ago. She had friends who were in the Andaman Islands, and they have a dog. And at night, this dog came and just would not leave this lady alone, kept on dragging her, trying to get her out of the house. And the dog got her out of the house and then tried to get everyone else out of the house by pulling at them and forcing them to come to the door. And so the lady said, yes, we must, let's just do what the dog is saying. And the dog led them all to the top of a hill. And a few hours later, the tsunami came and washed that house away. So yeah, dogs have some kind of animals. Some animals have some amazing kind of perception. So of course, dogs are all, according to Buddhists, card-carrying Buddhists, bodhisattvas can emanate as dogs or tigers or anything. It's not necessary to see these animals as a bodhisattva. I think animals have certain sensory perceptions we humans don't have. But I found that an extraordinary story. Basically, that dog saved all of those people by dragging them one by one out of the house and then leading them up the hill, not letting them go and stay in that lower area. And then the tsunami came. I don't know how many hours later, but it came very quickly after that. So yeah, the guru, could be everywhere, anywhere, including, of course, on the person who harms us. You're having some issue with earphones. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. No problem, Fatima. No problem. Yeah. Anyone else? Pradeep ji, Nitya, you're quiet today. Sujit ji, observing as usual. Anushri, Vishad, Akshay. Akshay ji, what is nim? This is on your rectangle. Nim. What is nim? Is it on brand? NIM. Ye kya hai? Nim. Any idea? No? Okay, Akshay ji, no problem. Maybe we finish now because actually I have things to do. And also we at Tushita have some things to discuss.
Sorry to interrupt you. Like, I have some questions, okay? I know you need to go, but if you're comfortable, can you give me some time?
I'll give you 3 minutes. Yes, I'll be very strict.
Yeah. You said that like animals do have some sensory perceptions which we humans don't have. But if we can open our senses up to a certain level, like which will help us in knowing that something is passing by, which is from another dimension, which is not a human being. Like
yes.
You are able to sense smell, and you are able to smell as well. Like, is that possible?
Yes. Absolutely.
So actually, the thing is that since when I was 16 years old, I would meditate, and I was a spiritual being as well. So मुझे खुशबू आती थी, and that was a very sweet fragrance. I know that fragrance was from a good spirit or some good other thing which is from another dimension. But slowly things went south. Hello.
Yes.
And since I have started healing myself from 18th of August 2022, I do have a photographic memory. So yeah, things are getting all right. So अब मुझे वापस से खुशबू आती है, and मुझे पता चल जाता है खुशबू अच्छी चीज के बुरी चीज के. Sometimes I also have my senses heightened more than a normal human being, like usual ones, ordinary ones. So मुझे senses से पता चल जाता है, and smell से कि if that fragrance is from a good thing or a bad thing. I just want to know like what is happening with me. Sometimes whenever I think of like I want to listen to a nature sound, I am able to listen to nature sound like birds. And sometimes I want to listen to a child's laugh. I'm able to hear that. I don't know how I'm able to do that.
It's very simple. From Buddhist perspective, this is very simple. We have developed all kinds of, I wouldn't call them powers. We have developed all kinds of, what shall I say? skills and yeah, you can say powers or attributes through our practice of various disciplines or meditations in past lives. And we have many, many, many different. Some people have very deep kind of clairvoyance from a very young age, and nobody taught them. And they
Yeah,
have,
I have some visions that I get since childhood, okay? And I did get visions regarding calamities that are happening right now in this world. So I'm just wondering why I'm getting these kind of visions.
कोई नहीं, कोई नहीं, ये कोई
And
खास.
literally, I'm kind of, scared and surprised at the same time. Okay, and since like childhood,
Okay,
if
can I
someone
say?
is going to die, then
Can I say?
yeah, you can say.
Let me just say something. I'm going to stop soon and be strict about that. I would
Okay.
say all of these things which you're talking about, we can begin to take them very seriously. And we shouldn't, because from our perspective, they're not that important. I can understand how it might be disturbing for you, but you should not pay them so much attention. It's better to do some more practices which are much more practical and grounding and which help us to develop a much wider perspective on how we can be more beneficial for others in this world. And that is why the teaching, basic teachings on love, compassion, wisdom, these are very important. And the basic meditation. But it's not the case that everybody should do the same amount of meditation. For someone like you, actually, who's very sensitive and has these kind of powers, so called, too much meditation might not be good for you, actually, because you are quite sensitive. So you shouldn't do maybe too much of that kind of meditation. You should do some breath awareness, maybe, and just keep it very simple and short. And then come to Tushita, and then we can give you a lot more in kind of advice on what to read, what to study, and that
Yeah.
might be helpful for you. That might
Please
be.
do.
We
Please do.
can.
And I would love to visit Tushita. I really need to.
Okay, that's okay. Good for now. Sorry, I
Thank you.
can't give you more time now.
It's all right. It's all right. That's enough.
Yeah, but you try and remember some of these things. Try and look at some of these verses of Shantideva. If you have some devotion, then you can also pray to whoever gives you kind of pray to whoever gives you some kind of comfort and calm. Okay, and then that may help you. That can help you. Yeah. Okay. Now we'll dedicate, and I'll dedicate with some verses from Shantideva itself. Everyone here is excited because I made the mistake of allowing people to have samosas. So everyone is fighting over 3 samosas here at Tushita, totally ignoring the advice of this 5th chapter. So kya kare, no? They are fighting over 3 samosas. Actually, they're not. They're being very good. They're sharing it all. So anyway, if we could all be quiet for 2 minutes, we can dedicate together, folks here and folks online. Let's give a good example from Tushita. So these are some beautiful verses from the last chapter of this wonderful text. So we'll dedicate with these. May all animals be free from the fear of being eaten by one another. And may the hungry ghosts be happy. May the blind see forms, may the deaf hear sounds. Just as it was with Mayadevi, may pregnant women give birth without any pain. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find new hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their illness. May every disease in the world never occur again. Please dedicate especially for Prama Bandari, our kind landlady who has been quite sick lately with some heart issues and water on her lungs. And she's needing oxygen right now at home. She's upstairs, she's okay. She just told me that story, that amazing dog, but she is sick, so please dedicate for her. May the frightened cease to be afraid. This is a very important verse. May the frightened cease to be afraid. May those bound be freed. May the powerless find power. And may people think of benefiting one another. May troubled wanderers who have lost their way meet with fellow travelers. Without any fear of thieves and tigers, may their going be easy, without any fatigue. And this verse, apparently Dalai Lama Ji likes this one also very much. May those who have little splendor come to be endowed with majesty. May those whose bodies are worn with toil find magnificent and noble forms. May everyone never be parted from the awakening mind of Bodhichitta. May they always engage in the conduct of the Bodhisattvas. May they be cared for by the Buddhas and give up the actions of devils. May all embodied creatures uninterruptedly hear the sound of dharma coming from birds and trees, beams of light, and from even space itself. Just as they intended, may the Bodhisattvas fulfill the welfare of the world. May all sentient beings receive whatever the Buddhas have intended for them. May I live and be sustained by simple common foods. And in all my lives, may I find the ideal solitude for practicing dharma. In order to fulfill the needs of beings who reach to the ends of space, may my way of life be just like that of Manju Ghosh, Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom. And then Dalai Lama Ji's favorite verse, for as long as space endures, for as long as living beings remain, until then, may I too remain to dispel the misery of the world. Then the wonderful last verse, which reminds us of the importance of our gurus. I prostrate to Manju Ghosh, through whose kindness wholesome minds develop, and I prostrate to my spiritual masters, through whose kindness I develop. So may we always never be separated from the holy Dharma and from authentic teachers and texts in this and future lives. May our lives be most meaningful for others. Even those who hate us, may they benefit just by looking at us or even talking badly about us. May it create the cause for them to be happy. May all our teachers have long and healthy lives. May all their Dharma wishes be fulfilled. May all the centers, especially Tushita, be more and more beneficial for sentient beings. May whoever comes to Tushita, this was Lama Zopa Rinpoche's prayer, may whoever sets foot in Tushita find the causes for lasting happiness, liberation, and enlightenment. May their minds become instantly pacified. Please remember people you want to remember quietly, pray for them, dedicate for them, for their welfare. Those who are sick, those who have died, those who are depressed, those who are whatever help they need, may they receive that. May all terrible and wars and other things in the world come to an end. People think of benefiting one another. Shantideva says. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll meet again, some of us, on Thursday evening. Thank you, and good night online. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Kabirji.
Anella ji just
Thank you.
joined. Allah.
Thank you.
Nice to.
Thank you, Kabirji. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Could someone go to the fridge and bring some of the Bihari mithai to share? There are 2 boxes. Bring both of them. They can try both kinds.
Pranam Kabirji.
Pranam. Thanks, Sujit ji.
The Bihari mithai is. अनरसा भी
जब मैंने चौकीदार को बताया उसने बोला 6 तरह के मिठाई हैं। मैंने बोला जब आप जाए 6 तरह के ले आइए। मैं तो 3 तरह
Kabirji,
चौकीदार
Kabirji, can I request Isar to get some Bihari mithai home for me? He's there at Tushita.
Oh, that will be brilliant. Yeah.
Sujit, I'll have some for you also, Sujit.
Yeah, have some on both our behalves.
I will. On both your behalves, absolutely. Thank you, Kabirji. Thank you.
Pranam Kabirji. Good night.